So
Yep,
I don't know.
I get it. Me too. AB, I don't know,
Email?
sorry. I was
An
trying.
email you sent to John Beeman, did you share it with everyone?
We're live.
Too late.
All right,
Too late.
Sorry.
Never mind.
I'm not sure.
all right. Welcome to the Rockport Select Board meeting of Monday, March 9, 2026. We're here in the Jeffrey C. Parker room in the Opera House. It's just a little bit past 6 p.m. Do we have any amendments to the agenda?
Nope.
Any public comment on non-agenda items? Okay. Town managers report, John.
Okay, well, we have a very busy week, so I'm gonna try to be conservative with my words, best I can. So we've, probably the biggest headline is that my report, my draft, my draft budget has been presented to the select board and the budget committee a week ago, a little more than a week ago. The budget committee and the select board met in this room about a week last week and received an overview of the budget, where it is going, where it's headed, as a draft before the board and the budget committee start their work to ask questions and dig in. The draft budget is up 0.74% over FY '26. That's the net budget, so that's after revenues and your expenditures are figured in. That is obviously a big accomplishment for all of us, the board, myself, department heads, staff. It took a lot of people pulling in the right direction to get us to that place. It's not a finished product, but it's a good starting point for a conversation to be had here over the next month. And I'm sort of excited to get started on that process. Again, as a reminder, the municipal budget is just 1/3 of the total tax dollar that every property taxpayer pays. So while 1/3 of it will go up 0.74 as currently proposed, there are changes at the county level. The overall county increase is about 13%. The schools, depending upon which district, are somewhere in the 2 to 5% range. So there's a lot of figures that go into this, but the pieces that we can really control are the municipal budget. That's what this board and myself are tasked to do, and there's been a really strong effort, certainly reflective of some very tough years that we've had in terms of budgets that have been increasing, but also, right now, it's a tough time financially for a lot of people, and so I'm hopeful that this will, in some way, ease some of that. We're also doing this in the face of 2.8% inflation, which means all the costs of the goods that we buy to operate, the pencils, the paper, the paving, and other things that don't start with P, are going up more than 2.8%. We obviously have a cost of living that we provide to our employees. That's also 2.8%, which is the same as the Social Security rate. And that's been a policy in the town for a number of years. And then, of course, on top of that, we have health insurance costs. Anybody in the private market knows that they've seen their premiums increase some 20, 30%. It's a very tough time to be paying health insurance premiums at all. The municipal employees, part of the risk pool that we have, is a 9% increase, which is still a considerable increase. I'm thankful we're not paying 20 and 30%, and it would be difficult to keep to this 0.74% number if that were the case. But we were able to do that. We worked with a benefits task force that worked with myself, and Denise was part of that group. We had Walker Angel from the budget committee and staff, department heads, trying to find compromise, trying to find a way to, is there a better way to do this for the town? Is there a better way to do this for our taxpayers and for our employees, and make sure our employees know they're valued, that we want them to be here. We value the time and the effort and the energy they put in on behalf of all of us. And at the same point, how do we afford this? How do we afford this year after year after year? And so I think there's some good changes that will go into that as well. So that's about it on the budget. John?
I just wanted to interject that this budget came last week but it also reflects a lot of work from both budget committee members, select board members, as well as town staff and the town manager over the last year. We really didn't take a breath. We finished last year's budget. We knew that budget, for various reasons, had to be what it was, but we didn't want to see that repeated at all, and we really wanted to bring that curve down. So a lot of good thoughts and ideas and approaches came up during last year's budget session, and we used the time since then to discuss those within the town and within the budget committee and the select board. And so I think it's important to see this not as a budget that just came out of left field is being presented to us, but it did represent a lot of hard work already. But as John indicated, it's a proposed budget. The budget committee and the select board will be meeting over 3 nights over the next 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks, to look at each department and are there opportunities for further savings, further efficiencies, or maybe something got cut too much and folks on the budget committee or others aren't comfortable with cutting it so much. But there'll be a full-on discussion of all aspects of the budget. And I think there's a real goal on the select board's part to work collaboratively with the budget committee to find areas we can save and to end up with a budget that both groups can support and present to the voters.
Well, you said a lot of what I was going to say, Denise, but also I just want to remind everybody that is currently 9 members on the budget committee. These are 9 elected officials, and there's 4 members on the select board that are going to be in these meetings for the next, 3.5 weeks. There's a public workshop or a hearing. Is it a public hearing?
It's a public hearing.
Public hearing at the end where when everybody's had their say and we've got to the number that we want to present, everybody in town can then come in and make their comments at that point. But they can also make their comment all the way throughout by contacting any member of the select board or the budget committee and allowing us to represent their questions and ideas.
Absolutely. That's true.
Great.
So, we'll be rolling through that process and being very familiar here in this room just through the rest of this month. Speaking of through the rest of this month, nomination papers are now available for the June elections. We have a number of seats that are available. There are 2 select board seats, potentially for a 3-year term. Potentially, I expect here in a moment, we'll have an additional seat that's for a 1-year term. There is another library committee seat for a 3-year term, 3 budget committee seats for 3-year terms, and a school board seat also for a 3-year term. So if you have interest, you can go into the town office, withdraw nomination papers. Each of these positions requires 25 signatures, I would say at least 20, but you need 25 signatures by registered Rockport voters to be able to get on the ballot. It's a very simple process. It's not difficult at all, but this is the time to get involved. So we have a number of people who have already taken out some papers, but if you have interest, certainly reach out. Glad to answer any questions. Our property taxes, our second payment is due April 15th, and while that it felt far away when I wrote this, it was very cold. Today it feels a little bit closer, so that's a bit of a nice thing. I do want to mention that the town was awarded a $270,000 grant from Maine DOT's Bike and Ped program. This grant will cover the design and engineering of a path on Route 90, which would connect effectively from the Route 90, Route 1 intersection to the schools. This has been a project that's been discussed for as long as the schools have been out there, and this is the first time we've actually would have sort of progressed beyond talking about something and actually turning it into something that could be built. And really, it's a multi-step process. There's no intent that right now this is anything. It's certainly not part of the budget at all. But what it allows the town to do is to have the design done, much like the Harbor Strategic Plan is doing, have the design done so it's in fact shovel ready. And so that when other grant opportunities are available, we are all that more attractive for that potential, funding to generate itself and then, be able to pay for the construction of that path. Yeah, John.
And I just want to add to that, John, that the $30,000 match is coming out of the
Yep.
TIF fund for that area. So it has zero impact on
Right.
the town's expenses.
That's exactly right. Yep. That's and that's really what those TIF districts are meant to do, is take that off the top and allow for projects like these to work and not have to, really cause the taxpayers additional, the ability to dig even deeper into their pockets to do so. And the last thing I wanted to get into is that we've obviously, we're sort of in this season where there's change and we'll be posting roads very shortly, so this isn't in the report, but please be careful if you have people who are doing work on town roads. Remind your contractor to reach out to Public Works, reach out to ensure that that work is not going to do any additional damage to our roads. This season has been particularly challenging. I think anyone who's driven around has seen the frost heaves as deep as we've seen them probably in some years. And that means we just have to be even more careful. We've invested a lot in our roads here over the last few years, and this is a big part of how we can take care of them. So while there's always I think a real desire to sort of keep the business of the town going, and certainly we wouldn't stop oil deliveries or other things that are important to people's livelihood, the timing of when a frost wall might be poured or something like that, we can work with you, and we work with contractors all the time. So if you have needs like that, reach out to Public Works, and we can find a way to try to make that happen.
So what you're talking about is extraordinarily heavy construction equipment that you don't want those on town roads.
A frost wall might be poured or
Sorry.
something like that.
Okay, so I did.
A little bit of feedback. Yeah.
Yeah, so then if you know you're planning a construction project
Yeah.
at your house, work with your contractor to be in touch with the town.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep. And that's all.
And I see it says Abby's going to be out for several, but
Yep.
it doesn't say weeks or months or what, is it weeks?
It's weeks.
Okay.
We're waiting to get a report back. Yes, no, she'll be out for several weeks. As I said, she was unfortunately had an accident
Yeah.
there at the Snow Bowl. If there's questions or concerns with the harbor, particularly for those who are renewing moorings or other things, their boats, reach out to the town clerk's office. They're
Okay.
sort of picking up the banner, and they've been in touch with Abby where they can to
Yeah.
certainly keep the flow of information going, but allow people to get their registrations in and get those moorings renewed.
And I was happy to see that where you've got the bids out for Rockport Common, the
Yep.
new park, over at 1 and 90. And it looks like the bids are going to be opened on April 3rd. So we
Yes.
should start seeing some equipment out there, hopefully sometime this spring.
Yes, absolutely.
It's
Anybody-
exciting. It's very exciting.
Any questions for John? Any other? Okay. Next, we have the consent agenda, and that includes the meeting minutes for February 9, 2026. In addition, Michelle Hannon, who had been the vice chair of the board, resigned effective immediately a week and a half ago. And we don't have to vote on accepting her resignation, but we just recognize it in the minutes that she has resigned. Michelle's, served for almost 2 years, and she's been a really important member. She was our vice chair and has done a lot of good work for the board.
Two things before we move on from that, Denise. Michelle's letter of resignation is included in the select board packet. So if there's any questions about that, that's where it is. And also, I just want to thank her for her many years of service. She was on the select board for, I don't know, a long time. She stepped away for a couple of years, and she was chair. Really did yeoman's work all the way through that, and I think we should send her some kind of a letter acknowledging her for many years of service. So,
Great. Thanks, John. Okay, so we would vote on the consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion, we accept the consent agenda.
Is there a
second.
second? John? All those in favor? Okay. 4-0. Next, we have act on proclamation, AIO presentation to declare March 14th Rockport Pie Day. So, Alan, do you want to come on up? And I just want to, we've got a lot of stuff on the agenda tonight, and I know you won't take that long anyway, but.
I doubt you're familiar with this, but that's okay.
Thanks so much.
We just weren't sure if we were supposed to bring the pie or you were bringing the pie.
Yeah,
You
where?
were supposed to bring pie. Didn't get that word. Sorry.
Go up the street on Saturday.
What I wanted to do first is just, I try to get around, I've been in my role about 2 years and I haven't been here, shame on me, but I like to share with the towns how our connection is, because I think a lot of times it's not, at least in a granular way, it's not really necessarily that well understood. But the headline there is that AIO touches the lives of a little bit more than 10% of this town, either in the way of providing the services that we provide, helping to provide those services, or in receiving those services. And so I just go through really quickly. There's 103 households that have a Rockport address, a zip code, that come to AIO on some frequency. That's 220 people. Those households have made 1,228 visits over the past 12 months. So about on average, about a visit a month. That's some people coming more frequently and some people coming less frequently. That's the average. That's about 6% of the town. Households generally on a visit, on average, take about 40 pounds of food. That's 25 tons of food that has come to residents of this town during the course of the past 12 months. And they're generally, that 40 pounds is probably something like $100 worth of savings. So residents of this town have saved about $123,000 over the course of the past year. 7 of those 100 households are home delivery recipients. We have a home delivery program now, which is really focused on people who don't have a vehicle, don't have money, cash for gas, doesn't work, or they've maybe had surgery, some kind of mobility challenges. Now, of course, these next few statistics aren't necessarily all Rockport children, but 60 children from Crest. We don't have a way to tell what town are they from, but about 60 kids from Crest, about 100 kids from the high school, and about 50 kids from the middle school receive food for the weekend the distribution is a little bit different depending on the school, but through that weekend program that we have for kids.
Is that the backpack program?
Yes, the elementary school, but the middle school and the high school, which is newer, so we're into the second year of that. It's more of a pantry model, so child would go into like either the social worker or nurse. I don't know which they have at the schools, and be like a cupboard closet. There'd be tubs of different foods that would be there for kids. 35 households receive energy assistance. Our energy program is a little bit different than maybe whatever you might have realized because it's newer. So now it's a year-round program. Somebody can come in every quarter. New quarter just started a week ago, 1st of March, and sign up and receive $200. And that is self-directed to either a CMP or a fuel oil provider. We also have, depending on where a person lives, wood, and we also have a propane. So if somebody's living outside or has a camper, they're living in a camper, they can get a small canister that we cover. So it's about 500 households a quarter that receive that. So $800 over the course of a year. 35 households are receiving that assistance. There's 34 active volunteers that have a Rockport address. So it's about 10% of our volunteers have Rockport addresses. 11 households receive diapers through 58 visits. And we now have these satellite shelf units, so you may have seen them at Penn Bay locations, for instance, at the BB Center and the Physicians Building. YMCA has one down the street. So these are help yourself, and those we don't know exactly, but based on the weight that goes to them, those 4 units are probably something in the neighborhood of about 75 households are receiving food through those units each week. Other 121 households with a Rockport address, a Rockport zip code, donated to AIO over the past year. 3 households are on our board, so very active at the board level. And now we sort of shift into the Pies on Parade. So this weekend, 8 businesses are participating in Pies on Parade. Bring about 300 to 350. You don't know what the weather's going to be, so it might be a little bit, it may not be all of that number, but about 325 participants will come through the streets of Rockport this weekend. And then the last statistic is really, I think, is an important one to understand. So 3/4 of those households, the 103 households, let's say 75 households, 76 households, are really in this economic classification called ALICE people. And if you're not familiar with that, ALICE stands for Asset Limited Income Constrained but Employed. And Knox County in total, about 1/3 of the adult population is in that. And that just means a combination of household size and income puts them in a category that makes it really tough to navigate life. As long as everything goes okay, I'm okay. But if I have to suddenly replace 4 tires on my car, I have to replace a hot water heater, little bumps in the road like that, then kind of, go tilt for that household. And so it's a pretty significant number of people that this isn't just, and I kind of give a little demographic there, so you can see that about 76% are under age 59, which is prime work ages. We're in a relatively low unemployment area, so this is largely a group of people that are employed and their dependents that are employed. So it's really, I think what we try to do is we try to be that port in the storm. You may not need to come every week, but you may need to come every week for the next 3 months, while you kind of make up for whatever kind of imbalances has come into your life. So anyway, just a little bit of kind of way that AIO connects with Rockport. Yeah, we may be that place over there, that next town over, a couple towns over, but there's still a strong connection. So there are 8. We are an agency that's dependent on Good Shepherd Food Bank. There are 8 agencies in Knox County that are like us, but we're the only one that has a county-wide focus. And so what I like to say to the town, people come in to try to, because they have some emergency. It's not so much send them to AIO first, but maybe you send them to AIO first, right? Save those emergency funds for somebody who loses their whole house or something really big. If it's, an electric bill, send them to AIO. If it's, there's sometimes hard for people to understand when they're this very focused, I've got this emergency, but come to AIO every week and get food. Start at AIO, then go to Hannaford, right? You're going to save, the average household comes to AIO is going to save $5,000 a year if they're coming every week. That's a big deal for a household that's earning, $30,000, $35,000. That's a lot. So I just encourage that. We love working with the towns and Rockland, the city, and value that relationship. So thank you. You all
Thank you
for your
very
support.
much for all the good work you're doing and
Yeah.
for
So
coming
now
to see us. Yeah.
Pies on Parade. So yeah, it's such a cool event. When I started a couple of years ago, one of the first things people said is, "Oh, you can bring back that Pies on Parade thing." And for those of you who don't know, it's not a pub crawl, but it's a pie crawl. So the same kind of concept where somebody buys a ticket, and in the case of Camden and Rockport are paired together. So a $25 ticket for that day gets them access to 21 locations, 8 of which are here in Rockport.
Including Graffham's.
Including Graffham's, exactly. And it's this incredibly fun, it's very lighthearted, it's very fun. If you've ever participated event, it's, people have been out, hunkered down for the winter. And unfortunately, I don't know how this Saturday's going to go, but if it's at all nice weather, people are out. They're running into people that they know, friends, neighbors. It's also kind of a place where you meet people because of what happens, particularly like this stretch along here, like there's 4 or 5 places, and you're gonna park one time, and so you're gonna walk in, you two are gonna be together.
Alan, we're
You
going to
two are
have to move
behind
on
them.
here, so I want to, we're going to have to move on with
Okay,
our
so
agenda.
Anyway, it's
So
a great, fun
if you
thing.
could let us
And
know-
so if you would like to do a little proclamation or recognition
have
of it,
something
that
in
would
front
be
of us to
really
do that.
amazing.
Yep.
But,
And people, if
thank
they
you.
want to find out what time it starts or how to get tickets, they can
And
just
go to,
Google
this-
AIO.
This thing that I just passed around has a website at the bottom.
Okay,
So you'll go to AIOfoodpantry.com.
Okay.
Wait, that's
Yep.
.org, oh my gosh.
Oh, no.
.org, and there'll be everything about Pies on Parade, but,
Great.
yeah, 11:30 to
good.
3:30 on Saturday.
well, I hope lots of people show up.
Yeah.
You want to go ahead? and-
Sure. Before I do, Ellen, I just want to also commend you for your work. It's really incredible. And the thing that makes AIO a little bit different experience is because of the way it's structured, where anybody can walk in, and it's really like essentially just an everyday supermarket without a cash register. So
Yeah.
really takes the stigma away from food
We try to.
insecurity.
That's the idea.
So I'll make the motion to,
Okay.
I move to approve the following proclamation. In recognition of the role food plays in nourishing the physical and emotional needs of individuals and in bringing neighbors, families, and friends together to make a community, the town of Rockport hereby recognizes March 14th, 2026 as Pie Day and thanks AIO for its ongoing role in providing food to those in need and in bringing a community together around a common cause. And the motion finishes by declaring 3/14 as Rockport Pie Day.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion?
I'm
All those
hungry.
in favor? All right, great.
Thank you. Thanks so
your-
much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in and sharing all this
And everything
information.
you all do.
Yes.
Is that
Okay.
Is that his note,
Oh, hey, Alan? Alan,
Ellen?
there might be a to-do list or something.
That was stuck in the papers.
I know what happens if you lose them. It's,
Select Board meeting.
shoot, done. Next is act on committee bylaws. We have committee bylaws for the Conservation Commission for approval. We have Bill Bowe, chair of the, let's see, co-chair, vice chair?
Co-chair, I think, or
Co-chair,
vice chair, I don't know,
yeah.
either one.
Welcome.
Okay, thank you. I'll keep it quick. The only changes we really made, we added 3 associate members on top of the 5 permanents, and then we aligned the bylaws with the state statutes that essentially, gave rise to conservation commissions in general, because the state says this is what conservation commissions do. It isn't really an individual, town deciding
Okay,
how
great.
it's put together. And that's it.
Yeah, okay, wonderful. That's always nice to
I'll
be.
be back next month for the work plan.
Okay, sounds good. We'll
I-
take it a step at a time.
Just had a quick question.
Yeah.
Bill, while you're up there, Section 6, inventory, the language you use there is equipment purchased and owned by the RCC. The RCC
We don't own.
doesn't
well,
really own it. It's owned by the town, right?
Most of it, yes.
Well, who else would own it then?
Well, there were things that were purchased that reimbursement wasn't sought, but it's a point. We can make that the town. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah, it felt odd because it's a committee of the
Well,
town.
it's all in my basement, so it feels really odd.
It's a scary place, I think.
It is.
Yeah. Anyway, that was the only thing that jumped out at me. was
Okay, so we should change that to,
Owned by the town.
yeah.
With that amendment, I'll just make the change, give it to Orion.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, do we have a motion?
I move that we accept the amended bylaws from the Rockport Conservation Commission.
Okay. It's John. Do we have a second?
Second.
Michael? All those in favor? Great, 4-0. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
All right. Next is act on pole permit for Main Street, and it's CMP, although I did have a question about whether it's CMP or CCI or both, or,
It's CMP.
Okay.
Well, CMP is establishing the pole. So this is a location that is really right across the street from the town office. They want to place a new pole. And obviously, they don't provide a lot of, CCI is involved with CMP to have their attachment to that pole, but CMP is the CMP's permit.
And CCI is,
Consolidated Communications.
And that's been an issue in town, is you can't always, each of them owns various poles. And
Yep.
when you've got a problem with a pole, sometimes it takes some doing to figure out whose pole it is and then who to call. So that's why because this one,
Yes,
it says that
And-
Central Maine Power is applying for permission, but then it says Central Maine Power and CCI
right.
jointly apply for
right,
permission.
yeah. So and the form itself comes from CMP. They sort of set the ground for this, but what I understood from what presented, and I don't have a whole lot more information on what's on here though, is that those are the two entities that were making entry, and there's that joint carriage of the use of that pole that CCI is using. That's how I read that application.
And CCI did not sign the
No,
application.
this
It's just
came
CMP.
from, right, their right-of-way manager is from CMP.
Yeah, and then the permit says upon the application of Central Maine Power and CCI. So I think I guess
So it's not replacing, it's a new
good,
pole.
it's a totally
It's a
new
new
pole.
pole, right.
Next to the old one?
No, it looks like it's going in
No,
the
it's-
middle between two
Yeah,
poles.
it's actually like, right,
So we're collecting poles.
we're collecting
We
poles,
can never
we're
have
getting
too
good
many
at it.
poles.
Yeah, clearly.
And, yeah, but this is,
Do you know what the purpose of it is?
I don't,
Okay.
no. It
So-
wasn't anything that the town had requested.
So we're going to give them a permit to conduct their business. And as far as I know, they're not responding to our new ordinance to remove their old poles.
I wouldn't say that we sent them by threat of failure to, violation of the ordinance, that we wouldn't approve these, but I would certainly say that we could set notice that we won't consider others, although the ground upon which we would be doing so would be probably shaky at best, because the rules for pole permit installations are really set by the PUC and not, and we have the ability to decide what happens within our right of way, but in terms of the groundwork between how those poles are permitted and the review of that is really a PUC matter in terms of.
I understand, but
that-
what percent of all the poles that are redundant in town do you think are owned by CMP?
I don't.
Just ballpark,
Probably most. I would
Those
say
ones
most
on
of them.
Mechanic Street
majority.
are all.
Yeah, I'd say majority, yeah,
the majority.
yeah.
We have essentially zero leverage, is what you're telling me.
Very little.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we can use this opportunity to at least give them a, strongly worded letter to say, will you
Yeah.
start getting some poles out of here?
Yeah,
Well, and I had a thought on the location permit that we would make it in compliance with the town of Rockport's pole ordinance. That
would we want it to
Add
have
that.
a different application form?
a location, the
'Cause
permit
these are-
itself, the
Or we could
application,
just amend this.
just amend
we
the
could-
location permit. What we're issuing the permit, right?
We're issuing the permit, yes.
So we can have it say,
Although it's not our permit form. They provide the permit form as well.
well, isn't that nice?
Yeah. I mean, it's the same.
I think I'll do my own building permit form next time, no.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same application they use across the state, and of course,
Yeah, I know.
anybody who's
Well-
trying to get new power.
But
at a
because that has
location.
been an issue in Rockport in
Yeah.
terms of, and we don't have a good explanation for why we need a third pole in a pretty short
Yeah.
area of,
There's been no communication with me or NCMP.
yeah, nobody's
about this.
explaining what they want or
No.
what this is for, how the
No.
town benefits, if
Right.
at all.
Right.
Well, maybe we can get their attention here in the least. So what do we need to do to make that happen?
Table it with a request for more information?
Yeah, you could table it.
And figure out what CCI's role in this is,
Yeah.
and what are their plans for compliance with the town ordinance
Yeah.
on
I think we can
poles.
slow walk this and,
I mean, unless it turns out that there's some house there that's desperately needing.
seriously.
I can see holding off on it for now because we don't really know what the purpose is of it. If you're
Because-
saying that it's a fairly short distance.
I mean, I've been on
between-
the select board for quite a
Yeah.
while, and I've never seen a poll ordinance a poll application.
They don't happen very often.
Yeah.
New poles aren't put in all that often. But what we have is what John was talking about, where one is due to be replaced, they put the new pole down next to the old pole, and then
Never
over
get rid
time,
of
CMP moves over, Consolidated moves over, Spectrum moves over, and then that extra pole is supposed to be removed. The problem is that when you get somewhere down in the second and third layer of that, it doesn't happen. So that's where it seems to fall apart again and again.
And that's the purpose, part of the purpose of the poll ordinance
Right.
was to assert some authority over
Right.
that. Because they're in our sidewalks too. It's not even just
That's
in
right.
some vacant land where there's a pole.
Right.
It's interfering with the ability to use town infrastructure.
So is it between the pole at the corner of Route 1 and the driveway for the boatyard? Is it in there?
it's-
On Route, it's on Main Street.
Yes.
Right, but you said it's
yes.
across from the,
Yes, it's, let's see, it is,
I got Google Maps up if you want to look.
Google Maps, yeah.
So can,
yeah, it's,
So
I
there's
think
a
it's
pole-
just past the driveway for the boatyard, actually.
Where they
is it
want to put a
between-
pole?
Yes.
Is it between these two?
So
There's
there's a
There's a
pole,
pole on one side of the driveway.
right,
Then the driveway and another pole, and then down the hill at Route 1, there's another pole.
right, so
And this is
forget the
where-
one up, so the
Let's
driveway,
Let's plug in the coordinates on a map.
right, so you've got the pole, there's currently a pole that is before, as you go up the hill, right?
Yep,
And then there's the driveway, and then at some distance, there's another pole.
because I see the pole on Route 1, you go up the hill.
Right,
Then there's another pole up just before the driveway,
right,
and there's a pole directly after the driveway.
right, it's in between those two.
So a pole, short distance, driveway,
Mm-hmm.
short distance, pole.
That's right.
That seems a little silly.
Well, there's also X's on it, which would suggest to me they're removing both of those poles. But again, that's me supposing, not, I don't have
Okay.
knowledge of that.
Yeah, because it just says existing pole. It doesn't say existing pole removed.
We could rename the town Rockpole.
So that's what you think
Could
they're,
work.
that's what you think they're doing, is
Yeah.
taking two poles out?
If you
putting
look
one
on the
pole in?
markings on the road, it's what it seems to suggest, but, I mean,
So that's in our interest to have happen.
My cousin's favorite saying, hard telling, not knowing.
Well,
I mean, traditionally, okay, before the pole attachment, and talking about extra poles, CMP is in the habit of this where, as long as it's not in the ditch line, no one seems to bother and they put poles wherever they want.
yeah, that's what happened
All
by the
across the
Opera
state.
House. That one just showed up.
Exactly. So this
So at
is
least this is an improvement because they're
Right.
coming to us first.
right, right. There's a little bit of wild west days that go on with pole placement. So, and that's, part of what John's, I mean, those are replacements, so it's even wilder, I suppose. I don't know if that means it's the OK Corral, I'm not sure where my analogy's going, but either way, it's not great. And I think you can take your time and investigate this further and have them come back. I'm sure that they want to get this started, but I don't know, I haven't
So they're
heard-
going through Andrew. Is this how this gets done or no?
No.
It just goes from them to us?
Them to us, it goes to the clerk's office, so there isn't some sort of involved review of this. This is going, CMP, they get it through the POC and it comes through us. As, just as these 3 pages were scanned, or 4 pages were scanned and sent.
And it comes to the select board, which
Mm-hmm.
seems like somebody else should be doing this.
well, and
Unless under
right.
statute or something, it is supposed to go to the municipal office.
Yes. And,
I guess
know,
we do
it's-
sign it.
Right, and it's somewhat of a, they're placing in a relatively permanent structure in the
Right.
right of way that only the select board could.
Well, I do think we should table it
Weigh in.
because we need further information. If they're going to remove the other two and just put the one in the middle, I think,
No, we need a lot more information. So,
yeah, and what is the role of CCI? I mean, I would like to know whose poll this really will be and who we would be in touch with.
Seems like
Okay.
a lot of poles in a little
Yeah,
Short
but
span.
maybe it's one pole instead of two poles, but if it's the same process,
Mm-hmm.
where all the people who hang on those poles have to come in and clean it off, you do end up with three poles.
That's right,
CMP might be off the pole, but the other.
right. Which is what you see along Route 1 largely. That's, CMP's done their work, that's great. But now, how is Spectrum gonna get up there? And it's not a priority for them.
Right, right.
Okay.
Okay, well, do we have a motion to table the pole permit application?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay. Moving on. Next is act on reducing nominating period for select board vacancy. And I guess that's with Michelle's resignation. We now have the ability to have an election. There's enough time between now and the municipal election in June to include the one-year term remaining on Michelle's term. But it is a shorter period, about a week shorter than is typical for nomination papers. So I guess as I understand it, our action is to agree to that shortened period. So tomorrow, select board papers could be available for the one-year term. That's March 10th, and then they're all due on April
10th.
April 10th.
Right? Yeah, April 10th, I think.
Maybe that might be right. Yeah, April
Yeah, it's in
10th,
your-
yep.
April 10th. Okay, well, that's easy, March 10th to April 10th. So there's a month for someone really just to gather the signatures. It's the 25 signatures John referred to earlier.
Yep.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Just a little bit of a discussion, but we can do the motion, then I'll.
Let's do the
discuss.
motion in second, and then we'll
Okay.
do a discussion.
I move to approve reducing the period for circulating nomination papers for the one-year select board vacancy created by Michelle Hannon's resignation, and allow nomination papers for this position to be available Tuesday, March 10th, as allowed by state statute.
Okay,
Second?
second, Kim. Okay, discussion.
Well, my question is, if somebody were ever to contest this, are we crossing every T and dotting every I on this process?
It's very simple. You just, yes. There's no I's or I's dotted or T's to be crossed. This is a simple vote of the board.
I mean, it's,
And in fact, the board actually has more authority in the management and operation of the elections than honestly the five of you use, because you have a clerk's office that manages it so effectively and efficiently. This board and previous boards in Rockport never really had to do much because we have a good clerk, and we've had good clerks. So
So
this is just us
That was
using
a
state
yes or
statute.
no question, John.
It was a yes, and then
Okay.
I added
Okay.
more just to help make sure everyone understood why. But
Okay.
yeah, this is obvious. It happens all the time. It's happened in Rockport.
well, when John passed away, right?
Yeah, let's see.
Or when he stepped
Jim.
down?
Jim,
Jim,
yeah,
Jim,
when
Jim,
Jim,
Jim.
when Jim Annis,
Yeah,
yeah,
sorry.
Jim Annis'
Yeah,
seat, when he stepped down.
he stepped
was
down.
used.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that
I
was
think that
3
would-
years ago, 2 or 3
Yeah,
years ago?
wasn't that a shortened period
Yes.
too? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
So there is precedent for it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Yep, good.
Okay. All those in favor? 4-0. Okay. Next, act on select board vice chair. Since Michelle was the vice chair and she's now resigned, we need a new vice chair. So it's vacant and should be filled.
I can make a motion if I may.
You may.
I would move to approve Kim Graffam to fill the position as vice chair.
Okay,
Second?
second. Great. And all those in favor?
I vote for
Great.
myself.
And yeah, and would you be willing to do that for us?
Yes.
Yeah, we probably should ask.
Good boy.
Quick,
Yikes.
vote her in before she figures out what we've done.
I admire your courage, Kim.
Yep, thank you. Welcome. Okay, next is act on quitclaim deed for the estate of Janet Fogg, 130 Gurney Street.
So this is, the process here is not all that different. Speaking of processes that have been used previously. It's not uncommon, when a property is being sold, obviously the board approves a quitclaim deed and then it's sold to the new owner. In this case, this was a piece of property that was foreclosed upon last spring. And members of the estate were unaware that the taxes hadn't been paid on this property. I met with Abe Fogg, who was one of the four siblings that are part of the estate, last spring, shortly after when the letters went out that obviously the foreclosure had occurred and the town was planning to put the property on the market. So in working with Abe, his siblings, and trying to figure out what's the next step of this process, it's been certainly involved. There's quite a bit of cleanup that's needed on the property as well. There's a change in ownership of the personal representative, which will change, I think, in a great deal, the overall scope and direction of the property. Abe and his wife Erin are here, and Abe has met with me probably more than he'd like to admit about this process and his interest. Really, one, to keep the property within the family, but two, to engage in a very vigorous cleanup of what's of the property as well. So.
Are the neighbors, are neighbors involved in this at all, or is it really just whatever?
There have been concerns raised by neighbors to the code enforcement office. Andrew's also been involved and has laid out a pretty clear scope that is part of the second document that's part of this, which is also the mortgage. So unlike usual where this is a simple quick claim approval and it's handed back to the prior owner, this matter would also include a mortgage. And the mortgage, there's no financial terms of the mortgage, but the terms of the mortgage, and this was really a mechanism brought to our attention by the town attorney, said we could use the mortgage as an opportunity to work with the family to get what we really want, which is the property back in the hands of those who really care for it, but also to engage in a large-scale cleanup of the property that will make not only the family happy, but also all the neighbors and the code enforcement office. So we've sort of explored that. The mortgage is attached to the document here and sets out a period of 2 years. Largely, this is going to be done. A lot of sweat equity involved in this, although there are those friends and family who have engaged with heavy equipment and machinery to assist beginning this summer. And so this is a process that will take some time, but what Andrew and I both agree with is the concept that this is something that the property in the hands of those who previously owned it is the best medicine for it. The alternative for the town is to put the property on the market, sell it, have it go to the highest bidder, return the proceeds of the sale back to a family that would prefer to just keep it and clean it up. And it didn't seem that that's neither the purpose nor the intent of the statute that the legislature established, two legislative sessions ago. There's a family that wants to hold on to their property, they want to keep it, they want to do all the right instincts, and so long as we have this mortgage, it protects the town's interests to be able to ensure that the cleanup occurs just as we would hope if we had owned it ourselves. The other piece of this is that the town could have proceeded with that cleanup and just simply tacked on the cost of that cleanup onto the bill that the family themselves want to pay. That seems unnecessarily punitive to a family that simply wants to put the sweat equity into it ourselves. And so with a mortgage, as written as it is, it allows us to, if for some reason they're unable to meet the terms of it, then the town can assume that responsibility. So I think we've working with our town attorney, their attorneys, our attorney, and the family, I think we have a good solution here that will get the property back to where it should be. So.
John, what are so that we've got 9,800 and change in terms of back taxes,
Yep, and fees
and that's continues to accrue, right?
no. So
Oh,
after
okay,
this
okay.
date, it would be paid in full.
Oh.
So when $9,800 is collected, assuming you approve the quick claim deed tonight,
9,800.
excuse me, 9,800, yes, then we'd sign the mortgage and we would file with the registry.
And we'll
So,
get the check tomorrow or whatever.
yep.
And then future taxes, how,
It would be in the
Just
hands, it would be
back in
property, back in the hands of the family.
April 15th? Yeah,
Yeah, these are all back taxes and all fees.
okay.
So we're,
And if we went the other route you suggested, we wouldn't even be getting taxes from that property.
That's
And
exactly
so,
right.
Yeah,
And that's part of this, is that we want it back in the hands of property taxpayers. The town owning the
Right.
property does us no good.
yeah,
And so if we can do it now, we can deal with, we can, get it on the rolls before April 1st, and then it's cleaned up for the new tax year.
And then you've got, the mortgage says 22 and 23.
Mm-hmm.
24, 25, is that in limbo as well and just hasn't hit the tax lien?
So the 22 and 23 were the 2 years that had indicated were part of that. 24 would be the year that we just sat in, because it was what it was,
Yeah.
when it went to part of the tax year. So the tax year is a lag in terms of what's on here.
Okay,
And so once we acquire it, then we were,
gotcha,
those liens never were processed.
gotcha.
but we'll be made whole as if
Right.
the property had always stayed in the family's name. And-
Right.
Okay.
Basically, it's a clean slate once once the check is received, and we can start over. Abe wishes the cleanup started over that quickly, but unfortunately, it's not that easy.
It looks like it, yeah, until January of 2028 for, okay, well, I guess there's still code enforcement issues if there needs to be
Yep.
and all of that this doesn't sort of allow violations of our ordinance in the meantime.
That's exactly right. No, this is, and
And Andrew will be on top of it. And-
yes, Andrew has met with Abe almost as much, I mean, the three of us have met on this. Yes, he wins, yes, exactly. But, there's, to say that there's some real motivation to try to get this cleaned up is an understatement. So I've met with Abe, I've met with his sister Tori. There's a real desire, not just on one person's part, it's better half as well. Erin, she's also going to be part of the process. So this is had they known that might not have fallen into foreclosure.
I'm not aware that this situation had already.
Yeah, and it can be tough with taxes to know what the status is.
That it was supposed to be taking care of it, did not, and never said anything, so.
Yeah, yeah,
Luckily, I met with him before it,
really, before we sold it, yeah,
so
yeah,
we're trying to reverse the problem.
That's right.
great. Okay,
Makes sense.
yeah, do we have a motion?
Yeah, I'll move to approve the quitclaim deed to the estate of Janet Fogg and approve the mortgage document as presented and amended. No, as
Just say as
presented.
presented.
As presented.
I would
Good.
second that.
Okay. Michael, second. All those in favor? 4-0. Great. Okay, next on the agenda. We have act on the annual town meeting warrant article drafting.
So this is sort of part of the process, right? And there's four areas of questions to be ordered. The first is for the authorization of expenditures, revenues, and necessary bonding for items within the municipal budget. There's a question to amend the land use ordinance. It says to implement the comprehensive plan, but it involves clean up items, definition, clarification, density bonus specific to 901 district, allow drive-through restaurants in certain areas of the 906 district. The next bullet is amending the subdivision ordinance to simplify the review process from a 3 to a 4 month requirement to a 1 month process. And then the final is an amendment to the zoning map in accordance with the comp plan implementation strategy FL2 and FL9. These are meant to be broad, they're not meant to be specific at this point. But the idea is to basically allow the clerk the time to start to draft the articles. The detail is really when you have your meeting in April, when you will consider the final draft warrant. But the ordering of the question is all that you have to accomplish tonight.
Okay,
And just the general areas, and then the specifics obviously will generate from, from your approval.
great. Good, looks like a lot of thought, thanks to John and the work of the Comprehensive Plan Implementation Task Force, and Bob Colmar, who's actually here tonight as well, who's the chair. I know a lot of thought has been going into that as to how we can use that document to make Rockport the kind of town that the comprehensive plan was intended to make it, and now we've actually got people on the ground making it happen, so thank you. Do we have a
So-
motion?
So
ahead,
just to
John.
clarify, at this point, this would be the only warrant articles that would be drafted for the town warrant.
That's right.
And we wouldn't be able to make any additions after this
That's
meeting.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, there are obviously, like, for example, there's one bullet for approval and authorization of expenditures, revenues, and necessary bonding to be included in the municipal budget. But traditionally, we've had two articles that emanate from that, one for the revenues and one for the expenditures. So it doesn't necessarily mean there's three articles or four articles here with the four bullets, but the idea is the general areas
But the
from
subject
which-
matter is, yeah.
Yeah, the subject areas are covered with this question, or this memo.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I move to approve ordering the town clerk to draft articles for the annual town meeting warrant as presented on the memo from the town manager.
Second?
Second, Kim. All those in favor? 4-0. Okay. All right. Next, we have a discussion item. So this is again related to Michelle's resignation. Michelle was the select board liaison to both the budget and recreation committees. So do we have, so we need to replace her with select board liaisons for those two committees. So I know, John, you suggested you'd be interested in being the budget committee.
Yep, be
Liaison?
happy to serve as the liaison to the budget committee.
Okay.
That sounds good.
How about recreation committee? Anybody interested in?
It's got your name on it, Michael.
Oh, God, no, it doesn't, does it?
Well, Kim can't do it because Lenny's on the committee.
Oh.
I'm,
I
not that
guess
I'm,
that leaves it to me.
Is he on the committee?
Spring is coming.
He's on recreation, he's on pathways.
Pathways.
I won't.
oh.
could do it.
Oh, sorry.
Not to
Sorry.
speak for her, but
I thought we
welcome,
had,
Michael.
I thought we had Michael
You're
in
welcome,
there.
Michael.
Sorry,
I got
Yeah,
you.
yeah. I didn't know if you were.
my bad.
He's everywhere, that Lenny.
He is.
I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
That's right. He's taking care of the town.
That's
Well,
right.
I didn't mean to jump in there, Kim, if you
No,
want.
that's okay.
you
No,
want-
no,
And if
if
you
you
guys,
want
this
it.
is a discussion, you don't have to decide this
Yeah.
moment. If you want to think about
I
it.
would
and-
defer my decision. I really don't know enough. What they
So
do.
the recreation committee,
Yeah.
John, maybe can you
Yeah.
describe that?
Marge Fields and all
Right.
that kind of
Jones.
stuff.
Mars
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Jones, the staff liaisons, Jason, there's, that's a pretty, it's an active group who's on the ground. I mean, they're heavily involved with youth sports on the, they're being used there. It's
How
not a
often
lot
do
to
they meet?
Boy, I would say at most 4 times annually. I would
Oh,
say,
So it's
yeah,
not like monthly and all that.
goodness, no.
Okay.
Okay,
It's a pretty light
you
lift.
sold him.
Okay.
Sold.
It's a
Okay,
light
Michael,
lift.
thank you. You'll be the select board liaison to the recreation committee, and John will be select board liaison to the budget committee. And that's not something that requires a vote. That's just how we
Yeah.
determine these things at the select board level, so. All right, select board liaison reports.
Mine are pretty short.
Okay,
ZBA, nothing.
okay.
And no harbor committee. It was school vacation, so.
Okay.
And I don't think there's going to be a meeting this month either.
Okay.
Just,
Yeah.
I know the Pathways Committee is working on a number of things. We've kind of pulled back slightly from the Rock Road at the moment, but they are working, there's a thing on Warrenton Street, there's a part of a.
Complete streets, or what is it?
Yeah,
called?
Complete
Yeah,
Streets.
this is gonna be kind of the test case for implementing the Complete Streets program, where there's a section of crumbled and deteriorated sidewalk. That's gonna be taken out by the town department anyway. So they're working on that, and they're gonna be setting up meetings with the local residents and things like that.
Great.
So there is a plan somewhere,
There's one being developed, yep.
one being developed, okay. And is it going to include, I think, John, you and I talked about this not too long ago, is it a bike lane? Is that what,
Well-
bike walk lane?
The overall plan will be where the sidewalk was, that will be paved, and it will be delineated with lines that clearly mark that this is gonna be pedestrian and bicycle usage, so people won't just be parking there and all that kind of stuff and using it as drive around. And that will eventually, hope, continue and eventually go all the way around to Samoset.
Okay,
That's the long-range plan.
Yeah.
so there is some kind of plan
John has
somewhere?
some stuff.
Yeah, I think I would say it's somewhat of a phased approach, right?
Yeah.
So there's the parts of structured sidewalk that have existed in Glen Cove for, going back when actually there was a post office right there. And there's a drainage project that's related to the stream crossings. The large culvert that empties into the beach, basically in Glen Cove, needs to be replaced, and the drainage that leads to that culvert also needs replacement. And that's what's sort of precipitating the need to look at not just the issue of sidewalks, but really the drainage is really what's driving the conversation. But when you're there, then you look at, okay, well, what are the connection points? So are there other connection points? And anyone who's driven Warrenton Street knows there's a number of walkers, bikers, whatever they may be, that are using that loop, whether they're coming from the Samoset or wherever they're coming from. And so is there a way to someone have enough room so that you can safely do that? Obviously, there's the sharp corner, which has its own sort of fun and challenges, but obviously there's the dip that's by the pump house and by that culvert. So there's a couple different pieces there that'll need to be worked with, as well as the Samoset has maintained a pretty substantial shoulder on their side, largely between Samoset Village and the entrance to the resort. And so are there ways to work off of that without having to do a whole lot more investment from the town? So is there a way to make all of that work and work with pathways and work with drainage and have it all fit into one beautiful package? That's really the TBD section of this. But the drainage has to occur because frankly, we need to deal with that concern. There's a lot of water that comes, not just in that culvert, but also or on that side of the hill, and how do we, effectively channel that and get it to where it needs to be. That's been the challenge and sort of the first rung of this before we're even talking about how do we safely walk, bike, and so forth. But it's, obviously, that's a consideration as well.
And with that sidewalk coming out as part of that, instead of just leaving it as a paved piece, gonna delineate it. Yeah. Still a
Great.
lot to be determined, but
Yes.
yeah.
That's the process. Good. And Midcoast Solid Waste, anything happening there?
Oh, the budget has come out now, and each town's allocation of cost is staying stable,
Great.
as it has for a
And
number
that'll
of
be
years.
reflected in our own town's budget.
Yeah,
the
yeah, that
line item
stays
for-
stable itself, yeah.
Great.
And no increases that I'm aware of in bag fees and stuff like that yet, so,
Good.
yeah.
In the draft budget, John had 0 increase in it, right?
That's right. Yeah, and we had, I think you guys had just voted within days or so of that, so, yeah, that's reflected in there. Yeah, so when we get to sanitation, that's on the docket, hopefully that's a quick conversation.
Quick.
There are always long-term conversations to talk about solid waste and wastewater, as everyone in this room knows, but no increase is always a good thing, and, the why may be a different story, but, yeah, we're at 0.
Great. Okay.
I've got a couple. The Comprehensive Plan Implementation Task Force, They've met again with most of the town committees to confirm the timelines and goals expressed in the comp plan, as well as ensure the near-term goals are incorporated in their annual work plans. And we're seeing some of the results of that with the Economic Development Committee and what we are hoping to see in the Parks and Beautification Work Plan. And Planning Board's also putting together, well, they essentially already have done
Yeah,
that with
they did
the town warrant items. So
Yeah.
things are rolling along right there, and it's really nice to watch. Next meeting is next week on Wednesday, March 16th at 9:30. The Planning Board, no applications this month, so another quiet month in Lake Wobegon. So, but there was a waiver of a need. Sorry, I couldn't resist. But there was a waiver of a need to submit a site plan review for a multi-unit residential housing development located on a lot on Route 1, right across from Hannaford. It's a small sliver of land that is actually on the Rockport, over the Rockport line. There won't be any construction on it or anything. It's just kind of an odd, parcel connected to, or that was there before our town line was established. I don't know.
Interesting,
I don't
yeah.
know how long it's been there, but it's kind of a odd feature. But all the construction occurs on the Camden side, so basically, rather than have two planning boards review it, we decided let's just let Camden take care of that. The rest of the meeting was used to discuss changes to the zoning map and some of the things John talked about with the town warrant that will better support the new comp plan. And the planning board also discussed, and I don't know if this is in there, John, merging the minor and major subdivision ordinances into one subdivision ordinance going forward.
I didn't see that, no.
Okay.
I mean, I saw amendments to the subdivision ordinance, but I didn't see any distinction about merging the definitions.
Well, merging the ordinances. So
I
there's
think
only,
there's just one, I think there's just one ordinance.
no, there's a major and a minor. Maybe it's categories that they're.
Yeah,
Within the
They're
overarching.
basically trying to
I'll follow that.
eliminate that just to, because there's really not, one is just kind of a longhand version of the other. And it's just another effort to try and streamline the process for both the developer and the planning board. And again, better support the goals of the comp plan to minimize barriers to especially housing development. And finally, we've talked about the changes that we want to recommend to the voters. So just as a quick reminder, the planning board is also asked to schedule a joint workshop on housing with the select board and the EDC. I know we got a lot on our plate in the next month to 2 months, but I'm thinking somewhere in possibly May, could we get something on the calendar? Which seems reasonable
yeah,
to,
May.
Yeah, if we're through everything at that point.
I mean,
of
maybe
budget
April,
meetings.
but I'd be okay with May.
Yeah.
The only other thing that might be time, I'm hoping is ready for you all to meet and talk about would be the status of this building and to dig in deeper on that. So that would be a different workshop, but probably that's the only sort of item that might fall outside of a meeting in terms of scheduling. But yeah,
Well, we could designate May a workshop month.
workshop month, that's right. We'll workshop it, yeah, there you
Yeah.
go.
And that's all my reports this month, Denise.
Okay, great. Thanks, John. Let's see, Library Committee and Parks Committee are both meeting next week. Parks Committee is going to be talking about the comprehensive plan tasks. That committee, I think I mentioned this last month too, but there's a lot of new people who've joined that committee, and there's a lot of good energy. And so I think it'll be a good discussion to have, looking at the comprehensive plan. They also are tasked with doing the Emerald Ash Borer survey in town, and that they decided there was probably too much snow on the ground, but who knows what next week will look like. So they were going to push that off to April, and that's plenty of time to deal with whatever we need to do for the Emerald Ash Borer. Harbor Implementation Task Force, we've selected the contractor who's going to do the work, you know, to do the design work, and that's going to be Woodard and Kern, and I think that was in John's report, so that's a good, favorable outcome. Things are moving on. Thank you so much to, we have both Bill Bowe and Bob Colmar here who are in that group, and I think I also indicated last month, but we are so lucky to have folks with the background they have and the caliber that they have that have just saved the town a lot of money, but also have just allowed us to move forward with something that's really important for the town.
Just as a side note, we're gonna meet with the Bow Public Property.
Okay,
They wanna hear the story.
I bet. Good, okay. So that's just to repeat for people who might not have heard Bill. The Harbor Implementation Task Force is going to meet with the Rockport Boat Club on Friday. Obviously, the boat club down there along the harbor. Oh, I thought you said Friday. It's okay, tomorrow. Tomorrow, Tuesday. And they're obviously a player and a stakeholder in the situation down at the harbor. Next, we've got the Axiom Fiber. We've got some signs around town. We've been reaching out to people. Axiom is offering 1 gig over 1 gig service. They're in partnership with the town. They're going to be providing back money from the monthly fees of anybody who does sign up with Axiom so that we can expand that service out. You know, I haven't talked with Axiom about what their next expansion plans would be, but I think for a lot of us out Route 90, seems like the obvious direction, maybe Main Street on the other side, but the idea is to get this service out to more of our residents, and because it is this partnership, we'll be able to work together with them, and the money doesn't just go off to some corporation in some other place. This is a Maine company. They're a company that's done fiber installations in a number of small communities in Maine, and they love working with their towns. So we're really grateful that they're here in Rockport, and service should be turning on soon. And then last is the RES site, which I mentioned, the Rockport Common, the fact that we should have bids by April 3rd. So all good stuff. Do we have a motion? I guess that's it for our agenda. A motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Kim, second?
Second.
John? All those in favor? Great. Okay, we are adjourned.